There's a paradox at the heart of life that most people never understand. The more desperately you chase something, the further it runs from you. The harder you grip, the faster it slips through your fingers. The louder you demand, the quieter the universe becomes. And yet, we spend our entire lives chasing success, chasing love, chasing approval, chasing happiness, chasing peace, running faster and faster on a treadmill that goes nowhere, exhausting ourselves in pursuit of things that seem to always stay just out of reach. But what if I told you there's another way? A way that feels counterintuitive, even crazy, but has been proven true by millions of people over thousands of years. A way where you stop chasing and start allowing, where you release your grip and watch everything you need begin to flow toward you, where you stop forcing and start trusting, where you stop running and start receiving. This isn't wishful thinking. This isn't spiritual bypassing. This is one of the deepest truths Buddhism has to offer. And the day you truly understand it, the day you stop chasing and start allowing, everything changes. Not because the world suddenly cooperates, but because you finally aligned yourself with the natural rhythm of life. And in that alignment, what's meant for you finds you effortlessly. In this video, I'm going to share the ancient Buddhist wisdom that reveals why chasing pushes things away and how letting go brings them closer. I'm going to show you what happens the day you stop chasing. And I promise you, by the end, you'll see life in a completely different way. Let's start with a hard truth. Everything you've been chasing is running from you because you're chasing it. This isn't cruelty. It's not the universe punishing you. It's simple physics. It's energy. It's the natural law of attraction and repulsion that governs everything in existence. When you chase something, what energy are you broadcasting? You're broadcasting lack. You're saying, I don't have this. I need this. I'm incomplete without this. And that energy of desperation, of neediness, of incompleteness, it repels the very thing you're seeking. People can feel it. Opportunities can sense it. Even the universe responds to it. And what you get back is more of what you're putting out. More lack, more wanting, more chasing. Think about relationships. Have you ever noticed that the people who desperately chase love rarely find it? They pursue, they text constantly, they make themselves available at all hours, they bend themselves into pretzels, trying to be what the other person wants. And what happens? The other person pulls away. They sense the desperation. They feel the neediness. And it's repulsive, not because there's anything wrong with wanting love, but because desperation comes from a place of emptiness. And emptiness cannot attract fulfillment. Or think about success. How many people do you know who are constantly striving, constantly pushing, constantly forcing their way toward their goals? They work themselves to exhaustion. They sacrifice everything. They grasp and claw and fight. And often, they either burn out before they reach their goal, or they reach it and find it empty. Because success built on desperation doesn't bring peace. It brings more anxiety, more fear of losing what you fought so hard to get. Buddhism teaches that chasing is rooted in a fundamental misunderstanding. It comes from the belief that you are incomplete, that happiness exists somewhere outside of you, that you need to acquire something external to be whole. And as long as you believe that, you will chase, you will grasp, you will suffer, because you're looking for fulfillment in the wrong place. The truth is this: you are already whole. You are already complete. Everything you need, the peace, the love, the abundance, it's already within you. Not as some abstract spiritual concept, but as a lived reality. The only thing blocking you from experiencing it is the very act of chasing, because chasing takes you out of the present moment, where all peace and fulfillment actually exist, and throws you into the future, into a fantasy of, when I finally have this, then I'll be happy. But that day never comes, because even when you catch what you're chasing, the mind immediately finds something new to chase. It's an endless cycle, a trap, a hamster wheel that Buddhism calls samsara, the cycle of suffering driven by desire and attachment. So, what's the alternative? If chasing doesn't work, what does? The answer is as simple as it is profound. You stop chasing, you release, you let go, you trust. And in that space of non-chasing, of non-grasping, of allowing, life begins to flow toward you in ways you never imagined possible. Not because you manipulated it, not because you forced it, but because you finally got out of your own way. The first and most important shift you must make is internal. You must move from a state of desperation to a state of contentment. This doesn't mean you stop wanting things. It doesn't mean you stop having goals or dreams. It means you stop believing that your happiness depends on getting those things. You stop making your peace conditional on external outcomes. Buddhism calls this practice santosha, contentment. It's the radical acceptance that right now, in this moment, you are okay. You are enough. Your life, exactly as it is enough. Not perfect, not without challenges, but enough. And from that place of enoughness, of contentment, of inner fullness, you can pursue your dreams without desperation. You can desire without attachment. You can move toward goals without your happiness, depending on reaching them. This is a complete paradigm shift. Most people think, I'll be content when I get what I want. Buddhism says, be content now, and you'll naturally attract what you need. Most people think, I need that thing to be happy. Buddhism says, be happy now, and that thing will come to you more easily, or you'll realize you never needed it at all. Let me give you a real example. Imagine two people looking for a romantic partner. Person A is desperate. They feel incomplete without a relationship. They scroll dating apps frantically. They settle for people who aren't right for them because they can't stand being alone. They come across as needy, clingy, trying too hard. What happens? People sense the desperation and run, or they attract other desperate people, and the relationship is unhealthy from the start. Now imagine person B. They would love a relationship, but they're not desperate for one. They've cultivated a life they enjoy. They have hobbies, friends, passions. They're content being single. They know their worth. They're not trying to fill a void. What happens? They become magnetic. People are drawn to their energy, their confidence, their self-sufficiency. And when they do meet someone, it's from a place of wholeness meeting wholeness, not emptiness, trying to fill emptiness. Same desire, two completely different energies, one chasing, one allowing, and the results speak for themselves. This principle applies to everything: money, career success, friendships, opportunities, all of it. When you chase from a place of lack, you repel. When you move from a place of fullness, you attract. Not because the universe is magical, although there is mystery to it, but because your energy changes, your behavior changes, your presence changes, and people and opportunities respond to that changed energy. So how do you cultivate this contentment? You start exactly where you are. You practice gratitude for what you already have. You stop postponing happiness. You stop telling yourself, I'll be happy when, and you start choosing happiness now. You find peace in the present moment. You engage fully with your current life instead of always dreaming of a different one. This doesn't mean you become passive. It doesn't mean you stop growing or striving. It means you build your foundation on internal contentment rather than external achievement. You become a person who is already fulfilled, and from that fulfillment, you naturally create, attract, and achieve. But the achievement is a bonus, not a requirement for your happiness. Buddhism teaches that desire from contentment is creative. Desire from desperation is destructive. Learn to tell the difference. Feel into your motivation. Are you chasing because you feel empty? Or are you creating because you feel full? That distinction changes everything. The second major shift is in how you take action. You must learn the difference between forcing and flowing, between pushing and allowing, between making things happen through sheer will and letting things unfold through aligned action. In Buddhism, there's a concept called Wu Wei, which is often translated as effortless action or non-doing. It's one of the most misunderstood teachings because it sounds like passivity, but it's not. Wu Wei doesn't mean you don't act. It means you act in harmony with the natural flow of life rather than against it. You stop trying to control every outcome. You stop forcing doors open that are meant to stay closed. You stop swimming against the current. Think of a river. Water doesn't force its way to the ocean. It doesn't push and struggle and fight. It simply flows. It follows the path of least resistance. It moves around obstacles rather than trying to demolish them. It trusts the natural downward pull, and it always, eventually, reaches the ocean. Not through force, but through flow. You are meant to move through life the same way, not passively drifting, but actively flowing, taking action when action feels aligned, resting when rest is needed, adapting when circumstances change, releasing when it's time to let go. This is the art of Wu Wei, and when you master it, life becomes so much easier, not because challenges disappear, but because you stop creating unnecessary struggle by forcing what isn't meant to be. Here's what forcing looks like. You want a specific outcome so badly that you manipulate, you control, you push, You scheme, you ignore signs that something isn't working. You override your intuition because you're attached to how you think things should go. You exhaust yourself trying to make something happen on your timeline, in your way. And even if you succeed, it feels hollow because you had to force it every step of the way. Here's what flowing looks like. You have a goal, a vision, a desire. You take inspired action toward it, but you hold it lightly. You stay open to how it might unfold. You pay attention to signs, to synchronicities, to the doors that open easily and the ones that stay closed. You trust that if it's meant for you, the path will reveal itself. You do your part with full effort, and then you release attachment to the outcome. You trust the process. The difference is subtle but profound. Both involve action. Both involve effort. But one is gripped with tension and fear and control. The other is infused with trust and ease and flow. One depletes you. The other energizes you. One pushes things away. The other allows them to come. I'll give you a personal example. Years ago, I was chasing a job opportunity. I wanted it desperately. I thought it was the perfect next step. I applied, interviewed, followed up multiple times, sent extra materials, did everything I could think of to make it happen. I was forcing, and I didn't get it. I was devastated. But looking back, that closed door was the best thing that could have happened, because I ended up in a completely different opportunity that came to me easily, that I didn't have to chase. That was far more aligned with who I truly was. The job I was chasing would have been wrong for me, but I couldn't see it because I was too busy forcing. This happens all the time. We chase things that aren't meant for us because we're attached to our limited vision of how life should go. But life has a broader perspective. Life can see the whole picture, and when we stop forcing and start flowing, we allow life to guide us toward what's truly aligned. We stop fighting for the wrong things and start receiving the right ones. So practice this. Notice when you're forcing. Feel the tension in your body, the anxiety in your mind, the desperation in your energy. And when you catch yourself forcing, pause, take a breath. Ask yourself, am I trying to control something that wants to unfold differently? Am I pushing against the natural flow? And if the answer is yes, practice letting go, not giving up on your dreams, but releasing your grip on how they must happen. Trust that if it's meant for you, it will come. And if it doesn't, something better will. The third essential shift is perhaps the most challenging. You must move from attachment to trust, from needing specific outcomes to trusting that whatever happens is what's meant to happen, from clinging to your plans to surrendering to life's wisdom. Buddhism teaches that attachment is the root of all suffering, not desire itself, but attachment to desire. Attachment is when you say, I must have this specific thing in this specific way at this specific time, or I won't be okay. It's when you make your peace conditional on life conforming to your preferences. And this creates enormous suffering because life rarely conforms. Life has its own timing, its own methods, its own plans. Think about it. How many times have you been attached to something that didn't work out, only to realize later it was a blessing in disguise? How many times has life given you something different than what you wanted, and it turned out to be exactly what you needed? How many times has a disappointment led to an unexpected opportunity? This is the wisdom of non-attachment. It's not that you stop caring. It's not that you stop wanting things. It's that you hold your desires lightly. You say, I would love this outcome, but I trust that whatever happens is for my highest good, even if I can't see it yet. You make peace with uncertainty. You embrace the mystery. You stop trying to write the whole story and start trusting life to write it for you. This requires tremendous faith, not religious faith necessarily, but faith in the process of life. Faith that there's an intelligence at work beyond your conscious understanding. Faith that you're being guided, even when you can't see where you're going. Faith that closed doors are protection, not punishment. Faith that delays are not denials. Faith that what's truly meant for you cannot miss you, no matter how lost you feel. Buddhism calls this surrendering to Dharma, to the natural order of things. It's recognizing that you are not separate from life. You are life expressing itself as you. And when you stop fighting life, when you stop trying to control and manipulate and force, when you surrender to the flow, life begins to carry you. Not always where you thought you wanted to go, but always where you need to be. Let me share a story that illustrates this. There's a Zen teaching about a farmer whose horse ran away. The neighbors said, "What bad luck." The farmer said, Maybe. The next day, the horse returned with 3 wild horses. The neighbors said, "What good luck." The farmer said, "Maybe." His son tried to ride one of the wild horses and broke his leg. The neighbors said, "What bad luck." The farmer said, "Maybe." The next week, military officers came to draft young men into war, but the son was spared because of his broken leg. The neighbors said, "What good luck." The farmer said, "Maybe." This story teaches us that we cannot judge the value of events as they happen. What seems like disaster might be deliverance. What seems like victory might be setting up failure. We simply don't have the perspective to know. So instead of attaching to outcomes, instead of labeling everything as good or bad, wanted or unwanted, we practice trust. We say, "I don't know what this means. I don't know where this is leading, but I trust that it's part of my journey." When you live from this place of trust rather than attachment, you stop chasing, because chasing comes from the belief that you know exactly what you need and you must get it. Trust says, "I'll do my part, but I release the outcome. I'll follow my intuition, take aligned action, and trust that whatever comes is what's meant to come." This doesn't make you passive. It makes you powerful, because you're no longer wasting energy fighting reality, clinging to plans that aren't working, mourning paths that closed. You're flowing with what is. You're open to surprises. You're available for the magic that happens when you stop trying to control everything. So practice this. When something doesn't go your way, instead of collapsing into, "Why is this happening to me?" try asking, "What is this teaching me? Where is this leading me? How might this be serving me in ways I can't yet see?" Hold your disappointments with curiosity rather than despair. Trust that life is not punishing you. It's guiding you, and the guidance is always toward your highest good, even when it doesn't feel that way in the moment. Now let's talk about what actually happens the day you stop chasing, because this isn't theory, this is lived experience. And when you truly let go, when you truly stop chasing and start allowing, the shifts that occur are profound and often immediate. First, you become magnetic. There's a quality about people who aren't chasing, who aren't desperate, who aren't trying too hard. They're comfortable in their own skin. They're at peace with where they are. They radiate a quiet confidence that's deeply attractive. People want to be around them. Opportunities seem to find them. It's not magic, it's energy. When you stop broadcasting lack, you start broadcasting wholeness, and wholeness attracts. Second, you gain clarity. When you're constantly chasing, your mind is scattered. You're focused on what you don't have, what you're missing, what you need to get. But when you stop chasing and settle into the present, your mind becomes still. And in that stillness, clarity emerges. You see what truly matters. You recognize what's aligned and what's not. You hear your intuition more clearly. You make better decisions because you're not deciding from desperation or fear. Third, you experience synchronicities. Things start falling into place in ways that feel almost magical. The right person appears at the right time. The perfect opportunity shows up out of nowhere. Solutions to problems present themselves effortlessly. This isn't the universe suddenly deciding to help you. This is what happens when you align yourself with the natural flow of life. When you're chasing, you're too busy forcing to notice the gifts life is trying to give you. When you stop chasing, you become available to receive them. Fourth, you conserve energy. Chasing is exhausting. It drains you physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. But when you stop chasing, when you release the constant striving and grasping and forcing, you reclaim all that energy and you can use it for what truly matters, for being present, for enjoying life, for creating from inspiration rather than desperation, for showing up fully in your relationships, for pursuing your passions with joy rather than pressure. Fifth, paradoxically, you achieve more. This seems counterintuitive, but it's true. When you stop chasing success and start doing what you love from a place of fullness, success comes more easily. When you stop chasing love and start loving yourself fully, meaningful relationships appear. When you stop chasing money and start creating value from genuine passion, abundance flows. Because you're no longer coming from lack, you're creating from overflow, and overflow attracts. Sixth, you find peace. This is the deepest gift. Peace is not something you achieve when you finally get what you want. Peace is what emerges when you stop chasing what you think you need, when you settle into contentment with what is, when you trust the unfolding, when you release control and embrace flow. That peace becomes your foundation, and from that foundation, you can enjoy success without clinging to it, relationships without suffocating them, experiences, without constantly craving more. Let me tell you what this looks like in practice. Imagine waking up without anxiety about all the things you need to make happen. Imagine moving through your day with a sense of ease, taking action when it feels aligned, resting when you need to, trusting that you're exactly where you need to be. Imagine relationships where you're not constantly worried about what the other person thinks, where you show up authentically, where connection flows naturally. Imagine pursuing your goals with excitement rather than desperation, with trust rather than fear, with joy rather than pressure. This is what becomes possible when you stop chasing. Not a life without desire, not a life without ambition, but a life where your desires don't control you, where your ambitions enhance your joy rather than steal it, where you move through the world with grace and trust and presence, where you allow life to support you rather than constantly fighting it. And here's the beautiful truth. The things you were chasing, many of them will still come, but they'll come more easily. They'll come at the right time. They'll come in the right form. And some of them won't come at all, and you'll realize you never really needed them. You were just conditioned to think you did. And in their absence, space opens for what truly belongs in your life. So how do you actually do this? How do you stop a lifetime pattern of chasing? How do you rewire your nervous system, your conditioning, your default approach to life? It takes practice, it takes patience, it takes commitment, but it's absolutely possible. And it begins with these practical steps. Step 1, cultivate awareness. You can't change what you don't notice, so start paying attention to when you're chasing. What does it feel like in your body? Usually there's tension, tightness in the chest, shallow breathing, a sense of urgency and anxiety. Notice the thoughts that accompany chasing. I need this. I have to make this happen. I'm not okay without this. Just notice. Don't judge. Just become aware of the pattern. Step 2, practice gratitude. Chasing comes from focusing on what's missing. Gratitude shifts your focus to what's present. Every morning, before you even get out of bed, think of 3 things you're genuinely grateful for. Not as a rote exercise, but really feeling the appreciation. This trains your mind to see abundance rather than lack, and when you feel abundant, you stop chasing. Step 3, embrace contentment practices. Set aside time each day to simply be, not to do, to achieve, to improve, just to be. Meditation is perfect for this. Even 5 minutes of sitting quietly, breathing, being present with what is. This teaches your nervous system that it's safe to not be chasing, that you're okay exactly as you are, right now. Step 4, release attachment through visualization. When you find yourself attached to a specific outcome, try this practice. Visualize yourself holding the desire in your hands. Feel the weight of it. Notice how tightly you're gripping it. Then imagine opening your hands and releasing it upward, like a balloon floating into the sky. As it rises, say, if this is meant for me, it will come. If not, something better will. Feel the relief of letting go. Step 5, trust the signs. Pay attention to what's flowing and what's forced. When something comes easily, when doors open without you having to break them down, that's a yes from life. When you're constantly hitting walls, when it feels like you're pushing a boulder uphill, that's usually a sign to pivot. This doesn't mean quit at the first obstacle. It means learn to distinguish between healthy challenge and forced misalignment. Step 6, create from fullness. Instead of chasing what you want, become what you want to attract. Want a loving relationship? Become deeply loving to yourself first. Want abundance? Cultivate a mindset of abundance, generosity, trust. Want peace? Practice being peaceful now. This isn't just manifestation woo-woo. This is basic energy dynamics. Like attracts like, fullness attracts fullness. Step 7, practice patience. Nothing kills chasing like patience. Our culture glorifies speed, instant gratification, forcing things to happen quickly. Buddhism teaches that everything has its season. A seed doesn't become a tree overnight. A child doesn't become an adult in a week. You don't become a person who doesn't chase in a day. Trust the timing. Trust the process. Know that every day you practice non-chasing, you're rewiring your entire approach to life. Step 8, reframe waiting. We see waiting as wasted time, as frustrating delay. But what if waiting is preparation? What if the time between desire and fulfillment is when you're being shaped into the person who can handle what you're asking for? What if delays are life's way of protecting you from getting something before you're ready? Reframe waiting from punishment to blessing. Remember, this is a practice. You won't be perfect at it. You'll catch yourself chasing. You'll feel the old anxiety creep in. That's okay. That's human. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is progress. Each time you catch yourself chasing and choose to let go instead, you strengthen your trust muscle. Each time you practice contentment in the waiting, you deepen your peace. Each time you release attachment and embrace flow, you align more fully with the natural rhythm of life. And slowly, day by day, the chasing decreases, the forcing softens, the desperation fades, and in its place, a deep trust emerges, a knowing that you are supported, that what's meant for you cannot miss you, that you don't have to fight for your place in the world. You just have to be yourself, fully and authentically, and life will meet you there. The day you stop chasing, everything begins to find you. Not because you've mastered some secret technique, not because you've manipulated the universe, but because you've finally aligned yourself with how life actually works. You've stopped fighting the current and started flowing with it. You've stopped demanding and started receiving. You've stopped grasping and started allowing. This is the wisdom Buddhism has been teaching for thousands of years, and it's as relevant today as it was then, maybe more so. In a world that tells you to hustle harder, chase faster, never stop grinding, Buddhism offers a different path, a path of trust over control, of flow over force, of being over doing. You don't have to chase love, be loving, and love will find you. You don't have to chase success. Do what you love with full presence, and success will follow. You don't have to chase peace. Stop resisting what is, and peace will emerge naturally. You don't have to chase your purpose. Live authentically, and your purpose will reveal itself. As the great Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh said, "There is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way." Stop chasing the destination and fall in love with the journey. Stop postponing joy until you get what you want and choose joy now. Stop waiting for life to begin and recognize it's already here, unfolding perfectly, even in the uncertainty. The day you stop chasing is the day you start living, truly living. Not in some future fantasy, but right here, right now, in this beautiful, messy, mysterious present moment. And in that presence, that surrender, that trust, you'll discover something profound. Everything you ever needed was already here. You just had to stop chasing long enough to see it. If this message resonated with you, if you felt the truth in these words, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Like this video, comment below with one thing you're ready to stop chasing, and subscribe for more Buddhist wisdom on living with ease, trust, and flow in a world that's constantly pushing you to chase. Your journey from chasing to allowing might be the permission someone else needs to finally let go.